Listen, man, what a victory. What a victory, I tell you. Nobody really gave us a chance. And I say that talking more from the start of the week. The week started and we had, you know, the back of Aston Villa. And it's fair enough. We had Spurs and we had City. Nobody gave us a chance. Everyone said, and the word was 2 games. A loss against Spurs and a loss against City. That will be the end of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. That was the report. And Solskjaer came out, rubbished them, and said that didn't happen. That was never said. We beat Spurs. And there was still talk, well, if we get battered in the derby, then it could still be the end. And what you have to realise now at this point, people are just looking for and finding different ways to come up with the reason why and the point in time when Solskjaer will get sacked. That's all it is. We played those 2 games and we won them both. And we won them both deservedly. And both games, we left saying and thinking, it should have been more. It could have been more. We deserve to win by, 3 or 4. Manchester derby. Yes, we know for the last few years Man City have been the better club, the better team. That's not in question, not in doubt. But what's also not in doubt is that Manchester United are the biggest club in Manchester. Or as some would say, in the greater Manchester area, because yes, the city of Manchester is a very small part where the blue club reside. But within the greater Manchester area, Manchester United are the biggest. And yet again, when we needed the result, for whatever reason, Solskjaer and Man United have come up trumps. In these big games, Solskjaer and Manchester United come up trumps. Marcus Rashford comes up trumps yet again. 2-1. And as I said, it could have been more. It should have been more. That shows how brilliant this performance was. To go to the Etihad Stadium. And I thought before the game, and I said, especially on the back of that Spurs win, and looking at our record against the big clubs, I said we can get something. City, I'm not going to say they're there for the taking because that's a bit disrespectful, but one, this is probably the best time in maybe 3 years to play City right now. They're vulnerable. And they have been vulnerable pretty much all season. I'm not saying every single game, but all season they've been at their most vulnerable that we've seen in years. Laporte's been out, Sane's out. They didn't replace Company. Fernandinho's had to move to the back because Otamendi and Stones are, well, they're the new Chaka brothers, isn't it? Because since Jones can't get in the team and Smalling's off to Roma on loan, he's doing a very good job there at the moment, actually. They are the new Chaka brothers, and Pep wasn't having it. He said, nah, that can't work. So he had to slot Fernandinho in there. But we exploited that whole back line, barring maybe Kyle Walker, because he was the only one really in that back line who I would say left that game with any kind of a seldom, I'll say respect, credit, you might say, because the rest of them got annihilated. They got bullied, punished. Solskjaer tactically outsmarted Guardiola, especially in that first half, and more especially so in that first 30 minutes. It was clear, Rashford going up against Kyle Walker, always going to be tough. Kyle Walker's one of the best right backs in the country, if not one of the best in the world. His pace alone will make it very difficult for anyone to beat them. But from time to time, Rashford was able to get it better. But Walker near enough did his job. He didn't allow Rashford to have the beating of him all game. So we went down the right hand side. And time again, Dan James against Angelino. Who's Angelino? No idea. Don't know where Pepper's found him from. I'm not saying Mendy would have necessarily been that much better, because Mendy's been pretty bad since he come back. He's been pretty bad. I got a question whether he's done, because these injuries, sometimes these injuries are so, they take such a toll on certain players that they just can't ever recover to the level that they were at. So he's gone with Angelino for whatever reason, you know, between Pep and the players. But Dan James had him on toast all game. There's one part early in the game where he was actually in his own box, or in his own half, and Dan James went to knock the ball past him, and Angelino kind of went across him. I don't even know if the free kick was given. I don't think it was. But Angelino knew that he could not keep up with him. So if he's going to, you know, keep him under wraps, he has to kind of block him off, basically. He did that once, but after that, he wasn't able to do it. Dan James had him on toast, had the beating of him all game. And that was the way where we attacked, mainly. However, our first goal actually came from the left. But before that, we should have been... Well, we had a Dan James chance. And I think we had a Martial shot. I think we had 2 shots in the first... Well, before we went 1-0 up. Dan James should have done better, 100% should have gone across the goal. Martial, I don't think he could have done really much better. Again, went down the right. Dan James cut it back, and he kind of just... Well, Martial just took a touch, pushed it in front of him, and took a shot at Ederson near post. Good save. Expected save, but good save nonetheless. But Dan James should have done better. He should have gone across the goal, and I think he probably should have made it 1-0. Did make it 1-0 when Rashford picked up the ball, left-hand side, got inside the area, and Bernardo Silva, really stupid. I mean, yes, Rashford was trying to create a dangerous moment, but it's so stupid from Bernardo to come in how he did and lent in with his leg. Referee didn't give it, and VAR overturned it. And I was looking at it, and the problem with VAR, and I say it's a problem, the problem of how it's been so far this season, you're looking at it like, as a fan, and you're looking at definite penalty. Has to be a penalty. No way it can't be a penalty. That's a penalty. But you actually don't know what the VAR is going to do, because we've had so many incidents, one way or the other, where they overturn the decision that they shouldn't, or they haven't overturned the decision that they should. And so that little moment, the nervousness, you're thinking, it's a stonewall penalty. Are they going to give it? Thankfully, they did. And, you know, I made a little joke to say, well, we only kind of got the penalty because it works out for Liverpool. Because it's like VAR, checking decision, what Liverpool want this season. Liverpool. So we got that decision because Liverpool needed Man City to lose. And yeah, Rashford stepped up, as he did against, I want to say Spurs. Yeah, and he waited. He kind of did a little stutter run and just waited to see where the keeper's going to move and slot it in to the other corner. 1-0, much deserved. And we kept breaking on them. We kept picking up the ball in dangerous positions and breaking on them. And they couldn't live with us. We were picking them off at will. Rashford should have made it 2-0. Another break, ball came, now this time across from the right, came to the left-hand side. First time shot, he went to try to curl it into the far corner. He definitely should have hit the target. Tell you that for a fact. If not score, because he was in a very, very good position. But the minimum you do for that position to hit the target, well wide, didn't get the curl on it. Moments later, again, up the other end. And ball comes to Rashford. And the ball's kind of, not under his feet, but it's kind of directly in front of him. It hasn't really shifted it right or left. And he kind of just goes for a little chip or a curl into the far corner, hits the bar. And you're like, oh, come on, we need to get this goal. Because we saw, for example, against Spurs, where we had these chances, and then they finally got one chance and they took it. They weren't able to kind of go one step further. But you always felt that if Man City were to get a goal at any point, then the barrage of attacks will come and inevitably they will score another. But So we had to get that second. We had to get that second. We got that second. Again, it broke again. Ball came to, I think it was Dan James or Lingard, slipped it into Anthony Martial, and it's a brilliant goal. Like, Edison was beating at his near post, but I don't even fault the keeper because he took the shot so quickly and with so little backlift. The keeper was somewhat flat-footed because I don't think anyone was expecting him to shoot at that moment when he did. Turn onto his left and then snapshot, boom, inside the near post. Not as like bad as Gazaniga's, for example, but at his near post nonetheless. He may be disappointed with it, but for me, it was a very good finish. Tony Marshall back in the team. Obviously, missed the game against Spurs with injury. Back in the team and 2-0 up, and you say much deserved. And we could have gone into the half 3-4-0 up. Like, we were that much better than them. And yeah, they had the ball, and they were always going to have the ball. We, at no point, our plan wasn't to have the ball. It was about pressing high, winning the ball back as high as possible and creating attacking situations. And in that first half, they had one shot on target, I think it was, which is a long-range effort from David Silva that went straight into David De Gea's midriff. They created some openings which were blocked, but they didn't actually test David De Gea other than that long shot. We created like 5. We hit the target 5 times, including the 2 goals. Edison was working. Like, that's a fact. Edison was working. We were the better side in the first half, hands down. There's 2 incidents with VAR. There was a shot that Lindelof, he blocked it, hit his foot, I think it was his leg, bounced up and hit his elbow. They didn't give it, and I think that was right as well. It wasn't, they always say in terms of the distance of the shot, a ricochet, and when it comes to defending, it's about whether or not there was intention. Now, obviously there's questions about there's one rule for attack and one rule for defense. I accept that difference is a problem, but as far as the rules go, the correct decision was made. And then right at the end of the half, there was a call, a VAR check for a penalty against Fred. Ball was crossed from the right hand side. I can't remember, it may have been De Bruyne, and Fred actually had his hand behind his back, making sure it wasn't. And as he went to slide, of course you have to break your fall, so his hand kind of just comes down to break his fall as a slide and hit his arm. But his arm is still very close to his body at that moment, and he didn't put his hand out to block it or make himself bigger. It's literally he's sliding and he has to break his fall. So that wasn't given either. No doubt some Man City fans will be complaining about that. I didn't hear Pep complain about it in public, but we saw how he was gesturing with the fourth official, Mike Dean, on the sidelines. We didn't see any of his tool that he did at Anfield not too long ago. And then the second half, City, they just had the ball. We dropped deeper. We're still trying to catch them on the counter-attack, but obviously from a deeper position, it's that much harder. You have to link more passes to get into positions. But again, we still created, I would say we were more dangerous. They had the ball, so of course, they're going to put in crosses and they're going to create little opportunities. But again, how many times was David De Gea really tested? He was tested, obviously they got the goal in the end for a set piece, Otamendi. There was one other save he made, could have been from Mahrez or Bernardo Silva, I can't actually remember, and he saved it with his feet, I believe it was. Lindelof made a brilliant block. But in terms of testing David De Gea, there was a Rodri shot from outside the box. But for the amount of possession they had, 70-odd possession in the end, they didn't test David De Gea that many times for, I would say, clear-cut opportunities. They had some clear openings where defenders got in the way, defenders doing their job. For me, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, man of the match. After half an hour, you have to give it to one of the attackers, maybe Rashford. But by the end of the game, like, Sterling had a beating with him a couple times in the first half, but he had a 100% tackle success rate, and he was just solid. Like, he was really solid. When you come up against Sterling, you know you're not going to keep him quiet all game. Impossible. But did any goals come down from his side? Was any clear chances created from his side? Not really. Not really. Every cross he was out to, And every attempted cross, it was out too. Blocks. There was one for me, the brilliant one, where Sterling was running across the box and he was going past man after man after man, and Wan-Bissaka just tracked him the whole way across the box. And then I think just as he's about to pull the trigger, Wan-Bissaka toes it out for a corner. And I said, this is why we paid 50 million. Yes, people complain about his attacking. It needs to work. 100% needs to work. It needs working on. But you buy a right back. Don't forget the back. That's the people leave out the back from the right. His first job is defending, and when you come up against a winger like Sterling, you need to learn. You need to know how to defend, and he did that. Listen, to a man, we were brilliant. To a man, David De Gea, I said, look back to his best. No doubt, some naysayers will say that he should have come out for the goal, the corner. Some keepers may well have claimed it, may well have punched it, may well have fumbled it. He kind of looked like he was coming and didn't. But I'm not going to blame him for that goal at all. Otamendi got the better of I think it was Wan-Bissaka. Yeah, Wan-Bissaka, and Maguire tried to recover, but he wasn't able to. So in the end, Otamendi came up, was kind of in between them and got that header, which set up what could have been somewhat a grandstand finish. They didn't test the hair in that. You know, the last 5 minutes of stoppage time, 5 minutes of the game. A few scrambles in the box which we cleared, but we defended brilliantly. Luke Shaw, early on again, Bernardo Silva looked like he had a beating of him because he's just that good a player. They brought on Mahrez, but again, he did a good job. He wasn't outstanding, but he did a good job. He did a solid job. These are quality players. They're going to get past you. They're going to get a cross in. They're going to get a shot in or cut back and create openings. One-touch passing. You have to accept that, but you have to stick to your job, and Luke Shaw did that. Maguire, Lindelof, solid. Apart from Gabby Jesus losing both of them in the middle of the box in the first half, and he really should have got to go back. Clear header, went past the post. Other than that, solid. The both of them, absolutely solid. Fred buzzing around all game. There was a couple times where I think De Bruyne ran off him, and I think it might have been that Bernardo Silva ran off him. And I'm like, you got to track your runner, But I would say for 95% of the game, he was everywhere. At De Bruyne's heels. When he got the ball, he wasn't panicking. He was passing off. He's just continuing his brilliant form. And I just hope that this is the Fred. This is the Fred that we're looking for. If we're looking for Fred to be a Pogba, it ain't going to happen. But if we're looking for Fred to do what he's doing now, then I hope and I think that he can continue this. That's why if Pogba does come back, he has to play further forward. If we do get an Eriksen in January or any kind of play like that, Maddison, he has to play in the number 10. You leave Fred and McTominay to be that destroyer to an extent, and then they can start the attack. They can give it to the more creative players in front of them. And Fred did that brilliantly today. And he can pass forward. He can cut the lines between the midfield and towards the attack. McTominay, solid again. Like, when you consider the midfield that they're coming up against, David Silva, Kevin De Bruyne, Rodri, them two were brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Jesse Lingard, brilliant. Brilliant performance, especially in that first half again. Picking up positions in space between the midfield and the attack, and midfield and defence for Man City. Finding space, linking the front men. He was brilliant, pressing as he does. As I said, Daniel James was the main source of our attacks in the first half. Martial was very good in that first half again. Because we dropped so deep in the second half, he wasn't in the game. We were losing the midfield battle, and he came off for Pereira. Pereira did well when he came on, and Rashford doing what Rashford does, silencing the doubters, winning the penalty, scoring the penalty, always a threat. Should have had more, didn't get any more, but he was brilliant. Him and Fred, I would say, were probably on even terms, because Fred affected, I would say, the whole game. Fred was everywhere. You saw Fred in and around that midfield. Marcus Rashford, in that first half, which is what won us the game, he was our best attacker. But Wan-Bissaka, for me, man of the match. From minute 1 to minute 90. I can probably count, I said, on one hand, 2 fingers maybe, the times he was actually beaten against one of the best wingers in the world in Raheem Sterling. We knew he had a tough job, and that rivalry, that matchup, is something that I probably want to see more and more every season. Raheem Sterling against Aaron Wan-Bissaka. And I'm not saying it's even on the same level, because these two are legends of the game, but when Ronaldo came to the Premier League and he put Ashley Cole on his bum. Like, he destroyed him in that first game. And Ashley Cole, being the brilliant left back that he is, he learned how to deal with Ronaldo, and that became an ongoing battle throughout the rest of the time in the Premier League. These are the kind of mashups we want to see. So I would say this time, Wan-Bissaka 1-0. He did it. He kept Sterling quiet. And we're going to see what happens when they meet again. But as far as Man United go, as far as Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, brilliant win, brilliant week. Brilliant way to end the week. We're now up to 5th. 5 points off Chelsea after they lost to Everton. Are we in a race for top 4? I mean, technically, yes. People are still talking about Man City in a race for the Premier League. Is it over? Is it? Come on, man. It's done. It's been done. Some even going, this ain't even about a title race. That's been done. For Man City, anyway. Been done. Are we in a race for top 4 again? Mathematically, you have to say we are. 5 points behind Chelsea. But as I said, at the beginning of the season, I didn't predict it. I'm not predicting it now. We just need to try and build up. Don't let this win be in vain. Go and get another. Go and get another. Go and get another. We need to start beating the smaller teams the way we're dealing with the bigger teams. And then I can start looking at this team and saying, yeah, you're progressing, because we've never had the issue being the big team since Solskjaer's been there. It's the smaller teams where the problem has been and still remains. So we'll see. We'll see what happens going into this, well, in this busy December period. 2 wins out of 2 so far. Cannot complain at all. Manchester is and forever will be red. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button, guys, and I'll see you soon.